Let's welcome in John Breech and Emory Hunt here. So let's start with the Chiefs. They had a 15-2 record last season. I will say all the teams in the AFC West, they're between like tied for 11th and 16th hardest, so it's kind of all right there. Most primetime games, I will say, out of anyone with 7. John Breech, what is your prediction for them?
My prediction is Patrick Mahomes is still on this team. Travis Kelce is still on this team. Andy Reid is still the coach of this team. So I am going to go way over. I just feel like when you bet the Chiefs under, you're just going to spend the whole entire season sweating it away and then losing your money. It's not worth the anxiety. When I look at their schedule, Amanda, you mentioned some of those big games there with the Eagles, the Ravens, the Commanders. Well, those 3 games all have something in common. They're all in Kansas City. So when you look at their toughest games, and I'll even throw the Detroit Lions in there, those 4 games are all at home. So obviously you have that huge road game in Buffalo, but when you have the majority of your tough games at home where you went 8-0 last season, I would say that's a huge advantage. And then you look at this division. Look, we talk every year. Is this the year that someone's finally going to knock off the Chiefs in the AFC West? Well, I'll believe it when I see it. The Chiefs are 20-4 against their divisional opponents over the past 6 seasons. That's about 5-1. So if they go 5-1 again, they don't have to win many games to get over that 11.5. So I'm going to take the over.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking over as well. I got them winning 12 games this season. And when you think about Kansas City, I feel like the best time to catch Kansas City is in the early part of the season. I look at those first 4 games as where they can probably get off to a slow start. And then we'll hear all the stories of, has Andy Reid lost the locker room? Has the message gotten stale? Has team figured out, Patrick Mahomes? Has Travis Kelce decided he's going to go and be a part of an entourage somewhere with Taylor Swift? And then they go into Kansas City mode and start ripping off a bunch of W's across the board. The 2 biggest games I'm looking forward for them on the road, and that's going to be at Buffalo and at the Cowboys in Week 13. Those are 2 potential losses in my opinion. But overall, Kansas City still has Patrick Mahomes, and Breece talked about it. Andy Reid, the same cast of characters. The run game should be better. Their defense should be better. And I think this team, at the end of the day, will be fighting for another Lombardi.
And they also worked on that offensive line, which they are always working on. Let's go to the Chargers here. Second year for Jim Harbaugh. They went 11-6 last season. We actually had Jim Harbaugh on a couple weeks ago. He was very excited about his personal life. He got a hip replacement and something done around the heart. So good shape for coach. What are the Chargers? What kind of shape are they going to be in? Because Vegas projecting them a little bit lower, John Breech.
Hey, well, Jim Harbaugh's a maniac on the sideline, so now that he's fully healthy, what are we going to see this year? I mean, he's going to be absolutely nuts. He is a motivator. He is someone who wins games. We saw what this team did in 2023 in Brandon Staley's final season. They won 5 games. They didn't do anything. You throw Jim Harbaugh in there, they completely flip things around and instantly were a playoff team. The one thing about the Chargers that's very interesting is you look at those first 3 games. You have the Chiefs in Brazil. You have the Raiders on Monday night. You have the Broncos at home. This is the first time the Chargers have opened the season with 3 straight divisional games since 1988. You can almost make or break your season in the first 3 weeks. If they were to lose those 3 games out of the gate, you're way behind the 8 ball in the AFC West at this point. So that is going to be huge if they start out fast. But Jim Harbaugh doesn't know anything but fast. That's the only speed he operates. So I don't think the Chargers are going to be concerned about that. I have them winning 10 games, hitting the over just slightly, maybe not quite hitting as being as good as they were last year. But I do think this will be a playoff team again, but maybe not catching the Chiefs to win the AFC West.
I have them winning 9 games. What I love about the Chargers this year, how they're built and how they're being built, as we know we're still in the midst of the offseason, they're going to be predicated on run game and defense. They load up in the backfield. Their defense should be better within the front 7. I like what they're going to be able to do up front along the line of scrimmage. On the offensive side of football, the O-line looks to be outstanding. That's why I feel like they're going to get off to a fantastic start. We may even see them beat the Chiefs in that opener. And then what happens, in my opinion, is when you get into a track meet and have to go score for score, bag for bag, do you have the quarterback that can do so? And that's where I get to after the bye week. When you look at going up against Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, again, Dak Prescott, C.J. Stroud, to me, those are games that could be a potential problem for the Los Angeles Chargers. One, because I don't trust Justin Herbert to go against those guys in a score-for-score basis, and also that's the tougher part of the schedule, in my opinion. So they can get off to a great start. Things looking great. They may even be in the league for the AFC West. And then after that bye week, things could go south for the Chargers. So if they can overcome that part, and by building up such a great lead in the beginning parts of their season, I think they have a chance to really go to the playoffs once again and maybe even challenge for that AFC West crown.
I was just thinking as you were saying that, Emory, it's actually nice to talk about the AFC West and saying there is some competition in this division for the Kansas City Chiefs. And one of those teams, I mean, I think you got to put them in the mix, is the Broncos. They were so much fun to watch last season. They shocked us all. They went 10-7. I think Vegas is putting their win total at like 9.5 right now. There is a stretch. They go Chargers, Bengals, Eagles, weeks 3 through 5, so that's early. They don't have to face the Chiefs till week 11. Emory, what is your prediction for the Broncos?
It's almost good cop, bad cop, right? The good side says, well, they've added some depth in the backfield. R.G. Harvey is going to be a phenomenal rookie, make over 1,000 yards. So now they have the running game. They're going to have the 1-2 punch with him and Jaleel McLaughlin. We know defensively, they're going to be outstanding. That defense is excellent across the board at all 3 levels. The question is whether or not Bo Nix can continue to build on what he did toward the back end of his rookie season. Because in the early parts of the year, he was a little bit of a liability. They're trying to coach around him. He missed some deep throws. But then halfway through the season, he started connecting those deep throws. Then the confidence started to gain. Then he started to win some games, become an asset. And you hope that he doesn't have that quote-unquote sophomore slump, and he's able to continue to build. And hopefully with the run game that they're going to add this year, a more dependable run game to go along with the expected growth of Bo Nix. With that defense, it should win some more games or be in more games on the front end. But I feel like this is just a tough division this season. They'll revert back to the mean a little bit. Maybe they overachieved a little bit last season. We'll see them hover on that 7 to 8 win mark in 2025.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way as Emory here, but I will say Sean Payton has now had a couple years to mold this team to exactly what he wanted. The Russell Wilson year wasn't what he wanted. He took a big risk by dumping everyone, kind of rebuilding the team, and that risk absolutely paid off last season with a playoff berth. So now you look at 2025, the big question is, Emory is kind of alluding to, is Bo Nix, where what's going to happen to him in his sophomore season? We have seen rookies come out and have a huge year in their first year and then struggle a little bit in their second year. That happened to C.J. Stroud in Houston. And if Bo Nix takes a step back, the Broncos are going to have a hard time competing in that division because it is so tough. But if Bo Nix can play at the level he played at last season, or even take a step forward, they brought in Evan Ingram, so he's got another weapon in that offense. As Emory mentioned, they brought in R.J. Harvey through the draft, so the offense should be better. Amanda, you mentioned that tough slate week 3, 4, 5, but weeks 1 and week 2, they do get the Titans and the Colts, 2 very winnable games. You get Cam Ward possibly making his first start. You could have Daniel Jones at quarterback, who's still learning that offense in Indianapolis, so it'll be imperative that they get off to a hot start. I have them going about 9-8, so a little bit better than Emory, and hovering right around that over-under number.
Okay, finally, let's go to the Raiders here. And I will say, look, for Bo Nix, like, I talked to that guy's quarterback coach. He goes, this guy just has what it takes to be a quarterback in the NFL, and he can't always teach that. Let's go to the Raiders finally. Dismal. 4-13 last season. I feel like anything has to be better than that. This is a new look team. You got Pete Carroll. You got Tom Brady in the front office. Geno Smith, the quarterback. They drafted Ashton Genty. You guys are kind of on different sides with this, both better. But Emory, you still have the Raiders with a losing season.
For me, it's all about consistency, Amanda and Breech. When you think about the Raiders and what can they build this year in year 1 of Pete Carroll, I think we see them get off to a great start. They can start 2-0, and then we're all talking about Geno Smith, all talking about Pete Carroll and the fountain of youth, and showing clips of him throwing the football and running around at practice, and then hit some adversity hits with 3 straight losses, right? And so, to me, it's about, can they find that level of consistency, because they do have a bunch of good pieces. They have a guy in Geno Smith. They have a guy in Ashton Genty. They have a guy in Brock Bowers. Defensively, they have Max Crosby and company. So they have some pieces and some things that you like about them, and you know Pete Carroll will improve, raise the floor of this football team, so they definitely will improve. I just think by 3 games more so than going to the postseason, but I feel like this team will be one of those pesky bunches all throughout the year that will be in every game. And then in 2026, we'll see them break through and become that playoff participant in the AFC, because this is a tough conference, let alone division in the West.
Yeah, definitely tough division, tough conference. Emory, though, you mentioned consistency. That is why I actually like the Raiders to go 9-8, because there's no one more consistent than Pete Carroll. You look at his 14 seasons in Seattle, he won at least 9 games in 11 of those 14 seasons. He totally flipped that team around. When he got there, they weren't great. they became a Super Bowl contender within a couple of seasons, obviously winning a Super Bowl in 2013. So I think that's obviously going to be the plan of attack. And when you look at their schedule at the beginning of the season, they open with the Patriots. They've got the Bears, they've got the Colts, they've got the Titans, all those teams in the first 6 weeks. So they have a lot of winnable games. Pete Carroll's a very smart coach. And let's not forget about Geno Smith. You got a new quarterback who's very familiar with Pete Carroll, knows what he tries to do, and know what his system is. And the other thing I love about the Raiders is that they get to play 7 of their final 8 games indoors. Geno Smith has a QB rating of over 100 in his career when he is playing indoors. So I think this team could pull off. They have a tough schedule down the stretch, but again, the games are indoors. So I think the Raiders could surprise some people, and I have them going 9-8, hitting that over.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens with this Raiders team coming up this season. Guys, have a great week, and thank you so much for joining us here. Emory Hunt, John Breech, taking a look once again at the AFC West predictions. You know what I was thinking, though, as they were going through this, Tommy?
What's that?
The coaches in this division. Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton, Pete Carroll. I mean, these are legendary coaches we have all in one division. It is
quality.
So much fun.
And they all have their quarterbacks now, especially Vegas with Geno.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.